Chapter 20 Breakfast, Beer, and Breakroom Chats. Izuku Midoriya washed up before joining Yin in the bed. She was reading a book when he entered the bedroom in a fresh set of PJs. He stopped in the doorway, shocked. "Since when did you read?" She looked at him with a stern glare. "I can't read." "You've never read before going to bed." He chuckled, climbing into the mattress beside her. She closed the book and tossed it on the nightstand. "I didn't know what to do with my hands while I waited for you." His cheeks turned red. "You didn't have to wait for me." "Well, it would have been rude if I just went to sleep without saying good night after I invited you to spend the night." Izuku stared at her for a moment, watching her play with her fingers in her lap. She's acting differently. She doesn't usually overthink things like this. "It's not like this is the first time I've spent the night." He scoffed with a smile, porting another glare from Yin. "Why are you laughing?" "Nothing, it's just... That's nice of you, that's all." "Nice," she repeated, eyes glued to her lap. "Did you want to talk about something?" She suddenly turned to him with a genuine surprise. "How could you tell?" He looked up at the ceiling and thought, it's hard to explain, but you have this energy when something's on your mind. It's subtle, but I've always been able to tell." "Oh," she whispered. "I didn't realize you noticed something like that." He looked down at her with a genuine grin. "Of course I have. We spent a lot of time together, you know. So what's wrong?" I want you to know something." "Okay, what is it?" She bit her lip, grumbling as she looked away. I want you to..." A sweat drop rolled down the side of his face. "Is she okay?" "I want you to know if you can rely on me," she finally said, looking at him with an embarrassed look on her face. He jerked back, confused. "Rely on you? Where's this coming from?" "I've been thinking, and I don't know. You do a lot for everyone else, including me. You're a teacher. Willingly. You work overtime planning lessons for your students, fake marrying me for Atura's sake. You buy me things and worry about my feelings. You only ever think of others, but I don't want you to wear yourself out because of it." He blinked blankly at her disbelief. She's acting super differently. His silence seemed to have humiliated her. Yin quickly turned off the bedside lamp and flying under the covers as she lied down. "Good night." Izuku sat in the darkness, still attempting to process what had just happened, and after a few minutes of silence, Yin felt a tap on his shoulder. "What?" she hissed. "Were you worried about me?" "Hell no!" "Oh, sorry. I just assumed that you were if you felt the need to bring something up like that." Izuku spewed, his hands waving around frantically. Yin sighed, sitting up again as she turned on the lamp. She faced him, trying her best to avoid his gaze. "I'm just stating the obvious. You also aren't selfish enough, you know." "I'm not?" "The other day you said I could use you all I want. Then after this is all over, we would never have to talk again, because you thought that I wanted, but it isn't what you wanted, right? And if you think you're using me, filling some void, making it up for what you think you lack, I don't care. If that's what it takes to keep you from pushing me away, then so be it." "So say that," she said inwardly, finally looking at him in the eyes. "If there's something you want to do or say, then do it or say it. And if there's a day that you're too tired to keep looking after others, then let me take over for you. Rest. I know firsthand that overworking yourself, whether it be because of guilt or because you want to be the best teacher for your students that you can be, it doesn't matter. I know you're tired. Don't just be some pushover because you value someone else's happiness over your own. You'd risk your own life if it meant someone would smile another day, so please be more selfish." Then it finally clicked. I can't stand kind people. Even Atura, the thought that he might become a pro and find himself in a familiar situation where he'll have to sacrifice his life to protect someone else's, maybe mine, that miserable repaying them for their kindness they lent me over time. She was worried about him. Maybe not necessarily afraid that he'd die because he was so selfish, but he had grown attached to him, that she now feared the lengths he'd go to for her, or anyone for that matter. Yin watched a grateful smile spread across his freckled face. "Thank you, Yin," he whispered, "for being worried about me." I'm not," she retorted with a hot face. "I'm just saying what you need to hear." "I'm more selfish than you may think," he chuckled, rubbing the nape of his neck. You are? I mean, yeah. I said you could use me, but I said it because I just wanted you to stop ignoring me." "Then keep being selfish." "What?" "As long as you do things for other people because you have an alternative motive, that's fine by me." "I don't think I understand," he laughed. "But if it make you feel better, sure, I'll be more selfish." "Okay, good. And stop working on the weekends. Leave the lesson plans for Monday and through Friday." All right. When Yin woke up the next morning, she turned to bed to feel the space beside her empty. She quickly sat upright, Izuku no longer beside her, and for a split second her heart actually ached. She had hoped to see him off one last time before he left. Not like they wouldn't see each other at school, but that would be different. They would have to be friendly to each other like teachers. It wouldn't feel the same to her. She already knew that. Once she saw him at school rather than the first time in the morning, that she would feel distant from him. On top of that, she would only be a teacher for about another month before Miss Ladybug returned from her maternity leave. After that, she would never see him again. The thought made her stomach hurt and her throat tightened. No way is this what it felt like to have a crush on someone. She had gone 21 years without ever developing romantic feelings for somebody, just platonic ones. This was far more consuming. She knew she would be able to bear it for long. "Whoa, nice one." "Atsura?" she whispered, hearing his voice from downstairs. She washed up before heading to the first floor. In the kitchen was Izuku and Atsura making breakfast. Izuku was cooking pancakes in a pan, flipping them in a skillet. Meanwhile, Atsura was washing fruit in a strainer in the sink. Yin's mouth dropped. "Midoriya?" The green head turned over her shoulder and gave her a smile. "Good morning, Yin. Come here, try this." Slowly she walked to his side, Izuku setting the pan down on the stove. He picking up a bowl and dipping the spoon into the creamy substance. He held it out for her to have a taste. "Try it." She blinked twice, blankly, confused as she leaned forward and licked the contents of the wooden utensil. Her eyes lit up with a surprise. "That's delicious." "It's wheat cream butter that I got from the market yesterday," he said, while casually whipping off the cream from the side of her mouth with the pad of his thumb. "The market?" She glanced at the clock to see the time was already 10:30 in the morning. Usually she got up around 8 to go for a run to the Saturday's farmer's market, but must have been especially exhausted from that week as she slept in. "I forgot to even go," she gasped. "No worries, I went. You had made a list yesterday, so I thought I'd run your errand." He chuckled to himself as he set the bowl down. "I tried to wake you, but you were pretty knocked out." "And he got some fresh berries." Atsura gleamed, holding up the strainer for her to see. "They're so good. Probably the best batch that they've had in a while." "I thought you left," Yin whispered. Izuku stiffened over the stove. "Sorry, it's kind of weird for me to still be here, isn't it?" "No," Yin retorted quickly. Both Izuku and Atsura turned towards her, eyes wide. Izuku's green gaze locked onto hers, his surprise clear. It didn't help that he looked unfairly good like this, with his tousled hair falling into his face, his apron hugging his chest, the morning sun pouring in the living room and onto his skin. Her heart did an embarrassing flip. "I mean, no, don't say sorry," she continued, turning away and crossing her arms. "I already told you to be more selfish, so if you're here cooking breakfast, it's because you wanted to, isn't it? No one is forcing you to stay." Yin draws with a smirk. Teach, it appears that she's taken a liking to. A doppel of cream flew through the air, landing square on his forehead with a surprising plop. Be quiet, Yin hissed, Atura wiping his face clean with annoying eyes. You just wasted cream. Then eat it, idiot. I'm not an idiot. Meanwhile, Izuku watched him, his shoulders shaking as he buried his face in the crook of his arm to stifle his laugh. He couldn't stop the warmth blowing in his chest. He hadn't realized how much he'd missed this, how much he'd missed her. As the argument raged on, Izuku's eyes flickered back to Yin. She was still flustered, cheeks glowing, strands of hair flying off her face as she pointed a finger accusingly at Atura. And for a moment, Izuku let himself imagine what it would be like if this didn't have to end. If staying here, staying with her, could be something more than temporary. But that was ridiculous, right? He turned back to the stove, the smiling lingering on his face. But maybe, if I'm a little more selfish, I could make it a reality. Hey, breakfast is almost ready, he called out, his voice light and teasing. Trying not to kill each other before then, all right? The day went by and Yin walked into the teacher's lounge, Izuku already beginning his lunch at the table. He looked up, surprised by her company. Oh, good morning, he gasped, slurping the rest of his ramen. Hi, she greeted him, sliding the door shut behind her. It's been a few days since Izuku finally moved out. Because she couldn't stand the idea of going back to a complete strangers, she made it her mission to see him as much as she could. They normally didn't cross paths during class periods, but during lunch she was able to find him in the break room, usually alone. As for Izuku, though, he was back at his place, sleeping in his own bed again. He wasn't as happy as he thought he would be. Unconditionally, he turned in bed expecting to see Yin laying beside him. Sometimes, when making breakfast, he'd start to prepare an extra serving without realizing it. He would say, I'm home, to no one when entering his apartment at the end of the day. He hadn't realized how much attached he had become to their routine until it was broken, so he was obviously pleased that they hadn't become awkward with each other. She sat across from him, pulling out a chair and plopping into the seat. That's Hatsura kid. He's really skilled. Did something happen in class this morning? He was close to pinning me down. Izuku's eyes widened. Seriously? Mm-hmm. Wow, that's amazing. Are any of the other students making progress? Well, they all are. Some more than others, of course, but they're keeping me entertained. She grinned, leaning back in her seat with her arms crossed over her stomach. Izuku smiled at her. Her eyes narrowed as she pressed her lips together. What? Just nothing. Thinking about. You no longer find them annoying little brats? I guess, she shrugged, trying to get her gaze away. Oh, did your homeroom decide what they wanted to do for the school festival? Yeah, they settled on a haunted house. Ooh, scary, she said sarcastically, making him laugh. And the door suddenly opened. Aizawa was standing in the doorway. Finally, I found you, he sighed, looking to Yin. You were looking for me? You're going to participate in the teacher's fashion show for the school festival? And Midoriya, you'll be her escort, okay? Uh-huh, they gasped. Oh, wait. What fashion show? Izuku asked, confused. We just had a teacher's meeting about it. The two of you must have not had time to check your email since you were teaching class. But one of the events will be a fantasy fashion show, and the audience will vote for a princess based on the talent. We need one more princess, so you'll be it, Yin. Why me, though? Yin winced, standing up from her chair. I am not playing dress up. We only have so many young women as teachers. Do you really want Miss Barton playing royalty? Aizawa said nonchalantly. It would take her half an hour to walk across the stage. That's not funny, Yin mumbled as she tried to hold back her laughter. Anyway, do a talent. Midoriya has to walk you onto the stage as your prince. Visit the support course sometime in the 2 weeks to get fitting for your costume. He then left, closing the door as he vanished into the hallway. He didn't even give me an option. Her eyebrow twitched ironically. I don't want to dress as a princess in front of hundreds of people. Public humiliation is good for character development. She snapped her gaze to Izuku, who instantly avoided her gaze as he slipped on his noodles. Look me in the eyes when you start smart shit like that. That Friday, I'm going to butcher his name, Satoichi offered to take Yin out for drinks to celebrate her surviving a month as a UA teacher. A feat for insistent deserving proper recognition. They met at a dimly lit bar downtown, a place with a cozy, laid-back vibe. Yin shrugged off her jacket as she jumped into the bar stool beside him, who had already started his first pint of beer as he awaited her arrival. Well, if it isn't the devil himself. The detective's face lit up. Yin, it's wonderful to see you. Yeah. How is your break going? I'm pretty sure your definition of break involves way more paperwork and teenagers trying to punch me in the face than I signed up for. Punch you? A student didn't like the way I taught self-defense, so now I fight them hand to hand to give them experience. Oh, interesting. Anyway, how's everything on the task force? She asked, a bartender sliding her a pint of beer, or whatever you like. Tochiachi ordered it for her ahead of time. It's going well. Of course, I have noticed we're solving our cases a little slower without your help. I wonder why, she said with a satisfied smile, sipping her foamy drink. The two of them continued to catch up, the conversation slipping into comfortable banter and old stories within the task force. Within an hour, Tatsuichi managed to fill her up with 4 pints of beers, insisting she enjoyed herself since the entire tab was on him. While they talked, they heard a familiar voice call out their names behind them. Tatsuichi, sir? Yin? They both turned, and Yin felt her stomach jolt in a way she definitely blamed on the alcohol when her eyes landed on. Well, Izuku. He stood there in a warm glow of the bar's lights, still wearing his white-collared shirt and black slacks. The sleeves rolled off his elbows, his tie loosened around his neck. His green hair was in its usual mess. Then Yin's eyes drifted to another person, who stood shoulder to shoulder beside him. He's with a woman.